Alright guys, so on today's video we are going to be installing a couple new pieces of equipment, and we're going to start off with our amber side markers. So we're going to be installing our amber side markers using the Dremel, and I'm also going to be installing some LED lights. These were actually they were previously installed in my older fenders, but when I got the new Mako paint job, I decided just to get new fenders because I had to get a new hood, a new bumper, and I said might as well just replace the entire front end. I do know that they're supposed to go somewhere around here. I guess the location is pretty much up to me. It doesn't seem too complicated. You got a positive and a negative. So it should be as simple as just cutting a hole here and wiring them up so that they light up with our corner lights. So hopefully I'll be able to do this quickly. What I'm most concerned about is fucking up the fender with the Dremel by mistake. So I picked this up at Home Depot. Not really sure which one to use. This one maybe? Where's the little slot? So I managed to figure it out. I wasn't worried, no big deal. Now I have to actually start drilling. I need to properly measure the actual size of the hole that I'm cutting. From this groove there all the way until this one, because I think this should be just about right. So I'm going to use this cardboard and do a mock-up hole so I get the dimensions right. One mark there, so that's maybe here. That's the length. Now I have to find the width. So I'll use the outside as a marker. And there. I cut out the hole now, and let's see if it fits. Slide it through. Hopefully it clicks into place. It's touching on this side here, flush, and it should just click right in. Perfect. Oh, wait, no, not perfect. You see, this is why we do the practice runs. If I had done this on the Civic, look at that. I would have been rolling around with two little corners peeking out. All right, so it just needs to be up until here. So I've come to the conclusion that the first sizing is probably going to be the best, and the only thing I can do is just round out one side. This is why we have the failed attempts here, because we don't want this on our fender, but I'm not feeling confident about getting it right on the actual fender after these failed attempts. Oh man. So I think I'm gonna go right about here. Man, it's pretty late now. Yeah, I'm really not confident in this shoddy craftsmanship here. So I think I'm gonna come up with a better design and probably get started on this in the morning, because I also want to try a couple practice runs with the Dremel, seeing as how I've never used it before. Not to mention I'm gonna have to also take out the fender liner, and for that I have to jack up the car. I thought this was going to be a quick job. I thought I could just cut the holes and insert the amber side markers and it'll be, plug and play. It's not going to work like that. So I'll try this again in the morning and hopefully I'll get it right then. All right guys, so it's morning, and I managed to come up with a sort of somewhat passable design. Our rectangular hole is going to be 2 3/8 inches long, 1 inch wide, and I'm going to leave a 3/8 inch flat edge for this clip to basically clip onto. And then at the 1/4 inch mark, I'm just going to cut the corners up to the 3/8 mark. But now I have to jack up the car and remove the fender lining, draw out the slot so that I can know where I'm cutting with the Dremel. And I have to learn how to cut with this thing, because I don't know exactly how I'm gonna manage the little corners with this giant wheel. Let's find out. So I managed to take it off, and as you can see, our wires are right there. Also, as you can see right here, the previous wiring is just a mess, nothing but tape and whatever those adapters are there. I'm gonna try to make that look a little nicer. I think I'm actually gonna need new wires because I don't think they'll be long enough to where I'm gonna put them. So I managed to do some mock-ups here, and this is what I'm planning. I'm gonna go ahead and put this blue tape just above the molding, and then I'm gonna position the light tape, the light blue one, so that the stencil starts just where that blue line, that blue tape ends. So one problem I see is I have a straight edge down at the bottom, but I don't know, I don't have a reference point for how far away from this line. So I think I'm just gonna measure 1 inch and mark it and then just place the tape. Hopefully you guys can see that there. So what I managed to do was on the outline, I cut out a big square and a little one. So the little one is just to remind me to cut out the corners there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut along the big one because I know that the square has to be 1 inch and I know that it's gonna be at least this long. What I don't know is whether or not the corners will show. So I'm gonna play that by ear as I start cutting just in case. Yeah, let's just get started. Ah! Okay, so I cut out the rectangle first, and then with the grinder I just start cutting out wedges, and then until I had these squares down here, and then I just rounded these off, and as we can see now, it should clip right in. Very little wobble, but I mean that's fine, it'll work. All right, so this is what we do. We just cut out the square and then cut out this other little square and then just round off these corners. So now that we cut out the holes, we made sure everything fits. Next up is to do some wiring, which is electrical and I fucking hate. Normally we'd use tape just because I don't have all this stuff, but today decided to do it fancy because we've seen what electrical tape gets you and it looks ugly. So the first thing, I have to actually measure the distance between the holes and the corner lights. Get our tape measure, it's about 3 feet. Since it sticks out a little further that way, I'm gonna go with 4 feet just in case. So I measured out 4 feet of white and 4 feet of black wire. Now as you'll see, I have no idea what I'm doing, so hopefully it doesn't come out bad. This is why you gotta pay attention. This is definitely not, I'm slightly colorblind, that's my fault. Damn it, I gotta chop this off. Oh, fuck. My shoddy soldering skills here won't allow the heat wrap to go through. So I gotta redo it. All right, so I had to redo it. Luckily, this time I remembered what colors go where. All right, so now that we got our soldering finished and our shrink wrap over, we can finish it up. All that's left now is just to install them. But to do that, we need to remove our corner lights. We also need to solder this end. Okay, so the beauty about these corner lights here is just one screw here, and that's pretty much it, honestly. And look at all these nasty wires here. So I'm just gonna maybe try to solder these and make them look a little nicer because that's a short waiting to happen. All right, there we are. So now it's disconnected. Now we can start messing around with the electrical wires. We got a green wire, red wire, and a black wire. Looks like the red and the black one were spliced. So I imagine black to black and white to red here. All right, so these are all examples of stuff you don't want to do or have on your car. That red one just broke apart. All right guys, so I managed to solder one end, which is the green one, because that one isn't gonna be spliced. Before I solder the black and red one, because I'm gonna be attaching white to it, I decided to install this little conduit thing to, insulate them and keep them, dry and not dirty. Plus it looks a lot cleaner like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this clip to the other end of the existing wires, so when I pull it through, the whole thing will just feed itself through. All right. after some much wiggling around, I managed to feed it through. And as you can see, we have our clip here, which is gonna go there. I probably had to cut about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches from the messed up soldering that I did. So probably 3 feet of wire would have worked. All right guys, moment of truth. I've installed the light and the side marker. I've put the light bulb back into the corner light. Now I'm gonna turn it on and hopefully, oh, plugged in the battery. Hopefully this bad girl doesn't short circuit on me. There are my lights, corner lights on, headlights on. Yes, they work. Now let's see if they flash. There's a signal. Is it flashing? It's not flashing. Damn, I wired them up wrong. I guess the only thing left to do now is to look up which one of these wires is actually in charge of the flashing. I would prefer them to flash just in case. I think it looks cool. All right guys, so after spending all day figuring out how to use the damn Dremel and how to solder and how to wire these things out properly, I managed to get them installed and wire them all 3 different ways without meaning to, and this is what I found. So the corner lights have 3 separate wires. They have a red, a black, and a green. If you wire the red and the black, you get them on all the time. And if you wire the green and the black, you get these on only when you signal. But if you wire the red and the green, you get 3 separate blinking lights. So I ended up wiring just the red and the black so that they're on all the time, but they don't signal. Not what I wanted, but until I can find a solution for having these stay on all the time and blink at the same rate as the back and the front, this will have to do for now. But we still have to install some brand new LED lights. I bought these off of Amazon just because they had the highest rating. Hopefully they work. Turns out the headlight install really wasn't all that impressive. And there, that's what we can see. Now, that's the high beams. Let's try the high beams. Honestly, I see no difference. I do like the way these came out though. Look, I think they're pretty level. They're right where I wanted them. They just don't blink. That's a bummer. I hope you guys at least learned what not to do. I mean, I rewired this thing 3 times and they all were not the ones I wanted. Yeah, I hope this was helpful, or if not, at least entertaining. Stay tuned for further upgrades because there are a lot of things that I plan on doing to this little Civic. I mean, a lot of things that I plan on doing to the Civic. So I know I haven't really introduced myself in these videos, but I'm Jay and this is Project Goodspeed. Take care and Goodspeed, guys.